If something has gone wrong in the world, the chances are someone is trying to fix it. And here on People Fixing the World from the BBC World Service, we find the people who are trying to do just that. BBC World Service podcasts are supported by advertising.
My name is Rasmus, and my title is Transgender, and you're welcome to ask anything you want.
So you were born a girl?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you discover that you feel like a boy?
Well, the point for our library is to be a safe space in the community for everyone courageous and curious to come and learn about diversity through an open and honest conversation with someone who is willing to be an open book for you.
People fixing the world.
Hello and welcome to People Fixing the World from the BBC World Service with me, Claire Bates. Today we're looking at the human library, a library where the books are people, made from flesh and blood instead of paper and glue. The books are individuals who have faced prejudice in their lives, and readers can borrow them for a half-hour conversation. Readers are encouraged to ask those awkward questions they've always wondered about. So, let's imagine we're going to have a browse. This is an international library, so the books here are from all over the world. The titles are short and to the point, so things like transgender, former gang member or polyamorous, Satanist or single adopter. I'm now in the Malaysia section. Okay, this one up here looks interesting. I'm going to see if I can reach it. The title is Wheelchair User. Okay, I'm going to ask to check this one out.
My name is Daniel Lee. I was born with a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, or known as brittle bone disease. I've broken my bones so often that I stopped walking at the age of around 3 years old. And because of that, I grew up, isolated from my friends. I would always sit in class during PE classes as I watch my friends change into their sports attire and go out for football.
How did you feel when your friends were going off to do PE and you were expected to just stay in the classroom?
It was hard for me, not because I was expected to do something. It was more so because I was expected not to participate. So that was pretty much my childhood. I never really got involved in any kind of sports, never thought it was a possibility until after I graduated from college.
That's just a quick taster of Wheelchair User. I carried on reading and I can tell you Daniel took part in several marathons before, but I don't want to ruin the book for you in case you want to read it yourself. I'm going to find a Danish book now, as that was where the Human Library was founded, way back in 2000. Here's one.
So I'm Shilpa, and my book title is Immigrant. I came to Denmark around 17, 18 years ago from India.
Can I ask, why did you move to Denmark?
I came here for my studies and then I stayed here.
Can you tell me about an experience around being an immigrant that kind of had a really big impact on you?
You're in a wrong country with the wrong colour. I've heard this, yeah.
Who from? Who said that to you?
A doctor, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, it was horrible. It was my first day in my apartment that I had bought here, and I had to just go visit him for something.
Did you say anything back, or were you just too shocked?
I was too shocked. I just went to my work and I spoke to them, and they were actually very encouraging, and they were like, hey, change your doctor today.
I've had some really nice conversations with books from the Human Library. But what's the point of hearing their stories? What's it all for? Here's the founder, Ronnie Abigail.
We don't have time on the street to stop and get to know everyone, so we drop people in little boxes. So it's instinct that's guiding us, and we never get beyond the instinct if we don't get to know the person. So at our library, we recommend sitting down and meeting some of the people that you normally might actually not feel interested in sitting down with, because there's something about them that you may feel a little bit uncomfortable about. You'll learn tremendously, not only about them, but also about yourself.
So the core idea of the Human Library is to challenge the assumptions and stereotypes that we all hold about other people through face-to-face discussions. It's an idea that was first put to the test at a music festival in Denmark. Ronnie, his brother and a few friends gathered a group of volunteers to act as open books that people could borrow at the event.
From the first day, it was incredible. It was sold out. People were jumping at the opportunity. Going through this catalog, we had more than 50 different topics on the bookshelf.
One particular moment stuck with Ronnie. A policeman who had volunteered as a book told him he'd been talking to a group of young students when a drunk friend of theirs came up and started being aggressive.
Before the police officer could respond to the abuse, the three readers got up and told their friend to keep his mouth shut and sit down and be quiet, because you don't know this guy, we know him. So if after 45 minutes, people are going to protect the stranger over their friend, then I think we're onto something here.
Ronnie ran the Human Library as a hobby for several years, developing and testing the model in Norway, Portugal and Hungary. In 2013, he trademarked the Human Library concept and took it on as a full-time job. Ronnie's team began building up book depots in different countries. They used social and local media to find volunteers who were willing to talk about their lives.
From before Corona and the lockdown, we had activities in more than 50 countries around the world, from Australia to Mongolia to Philippines.
Last year, they set up a reading garden in Copenhagen. Twice a month, members of the public can borrow human books for a conversation. We sent local journalist Adrian Nielsen to have a browse.
I've just cycled to Nordbro. It's a hip and diverse neighbourhood in central Copenhagen, and it's here where the Human Library is based. It's a small wooden building and it's surrounded by a reading garden. Inside, I met a volunteer called Gunhild, who described herself as a librarian. And like in a traditional library, her role is to help readers find a book.
So we introduce the topics and ask if they're interested in, getting to know a little bit more, maybe challenging their prejudice. We have like a big blackboard where we list all the topics that are available today.
It says titles of the day, and there's a list of the different book titles. So there's Muslim, giving up a child for adoption, there's polyamorous.
Yeah.
So that's just a few of the several different titles.
Yes. And it varies. Today, these are the volunteers who showed up. The next time, it's something completely different.
There were at least 24 people there, with 7 or 8 conversations underway at a time, in small wooden alcoves. After getting permission from books and their readers, I listened in to a few.
So, hi. My name is Rasmus, and I am 24 years old, and my title is transgender, and I came out when I was around 17. So I take hormones every 3 months now, and I've had top surgery, which means I've had my breasts removed. I have also legally changed my name and gender. So that's the very, very brief introduction, and you're welcome to ask anything you want.
So you were born a girl?
Yes.
Okay. Your genitals, it's a girl?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you discover that you feel like a boy?
I think I've known always that I did not feel like a girl, at least. And when I was younger, I have quite distinct memories of wishing to be a boy. But I didn't know that being transgender was something you could be. And obviously, when puberty happens, a lot of stuff happens to the body. And I think a lot of my female classmates were excited. And for me, it was just awful. Suddenly, I was developing breasts that I didn't want because I didn't feel like they were part of my body.
And do you have your period?
No, not anymore. Because the hormones that I take, they essentially what they do is that they give you a second puberty.
Are you attracted to boys? Or
I don't. Gender is not really important to me in who I'm attracted to. I'm just attracted to
the person?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am in a relationship with another transgender man, and we've been together for 7 years. Now we're engaged. So.
Oh, nice.
I managed to grab Tina, the reader, afterwards to get her thoughts on the chat. You were just having a conversation with Rasmus. How did the conversation go?
It was very interesting, and I'm a very curious person, so I asked a lot.
Have you been to the Human Library before?
It's my second time. I've been here 2 months ago, and I read 3 books, and it was a really nice experience. But after that, maybe for a week, I was so emotional. I think that everyone should try this experience because we can learn a lot of things.
Another reader has just arrived and they're adding to the list of titles of the day. The latest book is Sober, Alcoholic and Early Retirement.
Right now, all the books are loaned, I think, but some of them are... No, we have... Schizophrenia is free now. Okay. If you're interested in that. Yeah.
My name is Christian. I am 29 years old. I am a teacher and a huge nerd by day, and I also have schizophrenia. What schizophrenia is an illness where you have an ongoing psychosis for some not clearly defined reason. The classic stuff is hearing voices, seeing things, stuff like that. What I've mainly been dealing with is what's called delusions. A delusion is what seems logical about the world. Stuff like, the Illuminati are out to get me and they are controlling the world from the shadows.
This time I had a chat with the book, Christian. Why did you decide to come to the Human Library, to join it as a book and tell people all about yourself?
I am always going to have nights where I lie awake in bed, terrified, and that sucks. But as I see it, if I, by doing this, help just one person, then it stops being an affliction and becomes a tool that can be used for something useful. It destigmatizes some topics that I think needs destigmatizing.
Well, the session is almost over. What's really striking, actually, is just how open and how confident the books have all been to talk about their experiences and about who they are with complete strangers who've just walked in off the street.
That was our reporter Adja Nielsen, and as we've just heard, the library seems to be working very well in Denmark. But how does the concept translate to other countries?
My name is Rafsanul Haq and I am a co-founder and general secretary of Human Library Bangladesh.
Rafsanul is a university researcher. He used to go jogging with his old school friend Mushfik, and each day they'd discuss the problems in their country. One day, Mushfik told Rafsanul that he'd heard of an idea called the Human Library.
The first thing that came to my mind is, oh wow, this is amazing. It's a safe space to really share your personal views and personal stories, and an opportunity to really find someone who you don't meet every day, who is probably ideologically or culturally very different from you.
They got in touch with Ronnie's team in Denmark and started organising their first event in the capital city of Dakar. They found lots of potential books through their social networks, but then they hit an obstacle.
The issue comes when we ask them to, share their story of, how they have suffered in a public space? What if someone from my family comes into the event? And it was hard to give an assurance because, we have never really done this.
In the end, 10 people agreed to be human books. Now they were waiting to see if readers would turn up.
We weren't sure if people were going to attend. 30 people would be a good number of people at a time to have. And I think throughout the event, we had at least 300 people. And, we had to bring so many extra chairs.
What are particular issues or prejudice held in Bangladesh?
Religion, caste and race, the color of your skin, and economic status also creates a huge division. Entrepreneurship is not looked positively upon.
Have you ever had readers come up to you after an event and say that going to an event has changed their minds about something?
Yes, yeah. We have had quite a few, and those have been amazing experiences. I have seen people hugging books after the conversation, and I've also found people who have come to me and said, I feel like I found a friend in just 20 minutes.
During the COVID pandemic, the Dhaka branch held one virtual event, but many struggled with their internet connection. So Rafsanal now wants to wait until they can meet in person again. In the future, they plan to have events outside the capital and also to go into schools. The Human Library hold regular public sessions around the world where anyone can visit. The way they fund this is by hosting events for private businesses, from multinational companies like Google to regional firms. I joined a virtual event for employees of the Dutch brewing company Heineken. They didn't want me to record the actual conversations, but I was able to get a snippet of Katie Wendt from the Human Library, who opened the session.
When we're in the workplace or on social media, what we often find is we're walking on eggshells around diversity and difference. And many people don't want to get it wrong, quite understandably. The important thing to remember is that you can ask them anything. They're never going to make you wrong for the question you asked today, which is an incredibly rare offer.
Ray from Canada became a book after he attended a similar work event as a reader.
I publish under the title of a book called Gay. I was born to a military father and a beauty pageant mother, so you can only imagine what my childhood must have looked like.
He'd agreed to attend while on holiday, then realised it would be 1 a.m. as he was in another time zone.
I sat in front of my computer, and then 2 hours passed by, and it felt like 2 minutes. I mean, it just flew by. And it was around 4 o'clock by the time it was all done, and I could not go back to bed because just what I had experienced, the connection I had just made with these complete strangers halfway across the world. And so I just thought, everyone has a story, including me.
And do you mind if readers disagree with you and if they go away disagreeing with you?
I mean, that's what it's all about. Diversity is diversity in perspectives, right? I'm not out to change the world in a 30-minute reading with anybody, but if I can have them walk away from the reading with just some food for thought where they're thinking about it a little bit more after the reading, or they have a conversation with their friend later, then I consider that a win for me.
After exploring all sides of the Human Library and speaking to books and readers, I sat down with Ronnie to really thrash things out. The Human Library seems to attract people who are already pretty open. Are you having a challenge trying to reach people who maybe wouldn't reach out to the Human Library?
With the public offering, sure, we're potentially preaching a little bit to the congregation. We'll happily admit to that. We don't expect haters or people full of fear to show up on their own, but we do get them through work.
I went along to the Heineken event. I mean, the one thing that struck me there was that it was voluntary. Again, the people who were there were, they were like mental health champions.
That was an event where people could respond on their own whether they wanted to attend. When Heineken is running their leadership development training, everybody is expected to attend the full 2 days, whether they like it or not.
Do you ever see anyone being a little bit resentful? I mean, if something's mandatory, people kind of roll their eyes. They don't really want to be there.
There is some skepticism. They can't get their heads around it. And they'll write that to us in the feedback. I wasn't sure how this was going to work. Oh, my goodness, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
It sounds like you're getting lots of testimonials from individuals who are going. But is there any kind of hard data or evidence that the Human Library works?
We do have a recent impact study which is based on some of our online sessions carried out in the fall last year for Zurich Insurance. We had an external consultant company come and do an evaluation of the whole thing. And it's a rather small sample, but it's very, very promising what it's showing. It's showing that this has a profound impact. But do I have like a waterproof 2-year, 5-year field studies monitoring long term? No, I don't. And I wish I did. I never had the resources to invest in this kind of monitoring, but one day we will. But I have 21 years of track record, growing each year, bigger and bigger, and getting partners from the outside world that you would assume don't throw good money after bad. So when Starbucks, when Google, when they engage with us, it's because they know what kind of value we bring.
And how much does it cost to run the Human Library over a year?
On an annual basis, we're spending way over £1 million now in a year to operate our library.
And how about the books? Are the books paid or are they always volunteers?
No. The credibility of the book is at stake. If you pay your books, then is that why they say what they say? We've got, all the resources we can give without professionalizing them. It shouldn't become your entire identity to be an open book. That's not healthy for anybody.
The Human Library used to allow groups of enthusiastic volunteers to set up local branches, but they found many would be active for a few years and then stop when the organisers moved on. So they're now changing tack.
We're going to help ourselves by building sustainably from now on, rather than pouring our time down an endless hole.
They're currently building up book depots in countries where they have strong corporate links, including Denmark, the UK and the US. They plan to put their spare resources into countries where they think they can grow, such as India, Bangladesh and Malaysia.
So we're rolling out a lot of interesting projects that are going to multiply and scale up. So more access for people and more institutions embedding both organizations, universities and local and public authorities.
There are also plans for an app where you could sign up as a reader and request a book from an online catalogue.
You could sit in the comfort of your home and potentially borrow someone in New Zealand or in South Korea.
Despite all its innovation, Ronnie is realistic that a half-hour talk with a book is unlikely to change someone with extreme opinions. But it could help most people to keep their minds open.
If everybody's pulling on me, like we agree these polarizing forces are, who's going to keep me sane, balanced, and not extreme? The best is to be open and honest, and let's talk about our differences and get them out there and find ways forward. Or else we're just going to live despising each other, or disliking each other, or avoiding each other. How is this going to bring any kind of quality for any of us?
Well, that's it from us this week. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please email us at peoplefixingtheworld@bbc.co.uk. But for now, thanks for listening.
The Americans are out, the Taliban in. A generation's work, the dreams of so many shattered in days.
As we speak, there's Taliban right at my doorstep.
I can't believe the world abandoned Afghanistan. Our friends are going to get killed. They're going to kill us.
In our new podcast, you'll hear from people whose lives have shaped Afghanistan, who wished for and worked for different futures.
I think the biggest mistake that we made as Afghans was to feel that there was somebody else who will take care of everything for us.
A Wish for Afghanistan from the BBC World Service.
Everyone else has the luxury to pack and go. We can't, and we did not create this mess on our own.
Search for A Wish for Afghanistan with me, Lise Doucette, wherever you get your podcasts.